Before I start with the introductions, I want to do a little bit of background and why we're having this discussion. So my name is Yi Polschel. I'm the Director of Solutions Architecture at MentorMate. I work at our US office. And one of the things that's really important to my team, what we do is we set up projects. So that means we talk to our clients at the initial phase of getting the project started. We understand what we're trying to build initially. And then our job is to really get these guys up to speed on what we're doing. And we're also trying to do it within a certain budget and timeline, because as a custom software development company, that is very important to our clients. We're proposing a bunch of work, and we're doing a bunch of work, and we have to do it within the box that our solutions team has set up for. So I'm really excited to moderate this panel because, a little bit further context, we have about 100 to 200 projects that are going on at one time. And we have 500 people, and that's a lot of projects. And our teams come and assemble, and then they deassemble. Deassemble? And we have to do that very fast and very agile and very quickly. So I feel like all of these people on the panel here, they have a lot of experience in starting out with new projects and meeting new people that you might not have worked with, and then you're first working on finance, and then you're working on like real estate, and it just changes and changes and changes. So, and hopefully what you'll take this experience back to your team with is, how do I work better with my teammates? How do I work better with developers if you're a designer? And hopefully, this will get everybody talking and understanding. So without further ado, I'm gonna let these guys introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, my name is Irena. I'm experienced designer here in MentorMate for 2 years, almost 2 years now. Before that, I was a backend developer, also here for 5 years in MentorMate.
Hey guys, I'm Mitko, design lead here at MentorMate. I'm with the company for about almost 5 years. That's my brother, actually.
As you already know, I'm Mitko's brother, Svetozar Mikhail, or just Eddie. I'm here in MentorMate for almost 5 years, actually. Thank you. Same, yeah.
Hi people, I'm Theo, and I've been with MentorMate for a very long time, 5 years or more. I stopped counting after 4. So I've been a senior Android developer for almost the full time that I've been here, and now I'm trying some new stuff.
Hi, I'm Victor. I was team lead in MentorMate. I've been working in the company for almost 7 years, and that's all.
All right, my name is Martin. I'm software development manager, recently promoted. I was lead before, I was developer before. At some point I was a designer as well, so I get the whole pack. And I'm happy so many people came to hear us. Let's start.
Awesome. We're going to turn that projector off so these guys are in the light here. And also, just to note, we are hiring, mentorme.com. All right, so the first question I want to ask the panel, I've explained a little bit of why designer and developer collaboration is really important to my role. Can you give the audience maybe a brief description of why it's important to you as designers and developers?
Sure, I can start here. For me, the first important and really crucial thing is that we need to know that we are one team. We have one goal, and in general, our idea is just to be as much talkative with each other as possible. Our mission actually is just to provide really high quality product. So having in mind that we have good expertise, we need to work hard together.
Yeah, I would say also that, as a team we work together all the time. But having this closer communication, collaboration between us will provide better quality, better products, and our clients will be happy.
Yeah, well, for me, I just like it to be easy for me. So collaboration between the teams is the way to do it, and to not have fights over this and that and with the clients and so on. So I think it's important to have this discussion and share how we make it easy for us.
As my colleagues already said, it's really important to produce something good as final product and to be able to consult our clients how to make their product better. And I'm pretty sure that most of you know that sometimes the clients are not really aware how their products will be better and how to make them better, or maybe they believe that this that they're developing right now is the best thing, but our vision is a bit different, and that's our role to give them a consultancy. And also as an iOS developer, I know that Apple are really picky, and Apple users are really picky about the design part. So I'm really interested in the design part of the things, and I'm trying to be more aware what is a good design and how we should do this in a better way from developers' perspective.
All right, and another perspective, more like from the business part, and the whole project going on. That all that stuff matter, of course, and yeah, I mean we need proper managing and not mess it up from the beginning and produce very good collaboration, which will be a long-term successful for the entire project. And that communication is vital at the very early stage, where we will align and know how to do things better and not waste each other's time.
I want to start off with kind of a spicy question. What frustrates you about working with the other side? Rennie, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So basically, So basically, all the frustration between us comes from the lack of collaboration. And I have previously experienced this, that some developers tend not to ask us questions because we try to provide as detailed design as possible, but we often kind of miss certain states or miss like what would happen if we have longer names here and stuff like that. And at this point, they kind of discuss them between themselves, came up with a solution that they think is really good, implemented, and there were some examples where I have seen new stuff during a live demo, and I realized that this could not be actually implemented because of some client's restriction or probably some consistency reasons, and then have to rework all the things all over again, which kind of is loss of their time.
I have something.
Me too.
So guys, there is something I really don't like when we have design without design. What I mean, when we're creating design, we're following a lot of patterns. We have a lot of ideas behind our design, and yeah, sometimes we don't have the time for that moment that the developer needs the right design, the right screen for his needs. But in my opinion, quick conversation before that will save our time. We will save some issues in the future. As I said, we use a lot of patterns. We use a lot of good practices. Measurements that we use are specific for this design. So I prefer really to discuss something like this before step like design without design.
It's me. Something that I have been struggling a lot, actually probably of you too, is the lack of pixel perfect implementation. But I would say that here at MetroMate, I believe that we're really smart guys here, and we have different approaches how to resolve that. So I'm really glad that together with the developers, and not only, we are working as a team to find out how to fill that gaps. But yeah, that was something that really makes me feel crazy.
Yeah, well, for me, the frustration mainly comes from exactly that lack of communication. When I'm doing some screen or a couple of screens, and there is not enough detail in there. You don't know how you transition to the other screen. You don't know how this thing pops up. Where did it come from? And you just have to ask. And of course, designers, they can confirm that. right? Work on a lot of projects at the same time, so they may not have the time at that exact moment to unblock me. So it can be frustrating to have some things that you need answers for, but you have to wait a few hours or a day to get them.
So as you can see, we frustrate our designers a lot on daily basis. But if I have to name a thing that frustrates me, it's when we receive a mixed design. I mean, as a iOS developer, expect to have a design which is following the Apple's recommendations and not receiving an Android design or a design which is more suitable for a web page. I believe that one of the sales frustrations is the same. So it's not just about oh, I'm an Apple or Android guy and that's not the right way, but it's more about we have some native components which saves us a lot of time when we use them directly, instead trying to implement some custom design which is not even compatible, not compatible, but compatible with our product.
Okay, again, valid points. Imagine that you have just the screens for Android or iOS, and you need to figure out how to make the whole web or mobile adaptive or mobile device adaptive web version of the application. Then we go with, hey, developers need to be creative. And most of the time, developers are not creative, and we may end up in that later discussion of, but what the hell is this, and why are you implementing that, or pixel perfect, or whatever. So it's basically, yeah, it is funny. It is more like a process, or at least some rules between that so-called communication, because people communicate. Yeah, this is your design. Yeah, that's my design. Okay, I'll work on it. That's communication. But what happens when you need to funnel down the vital information you have as designers? You probably get directly from the client or the client requirements during the initial phase. And developers must know about that because it will be helpful. They will understand better why the transitions or the animations are happening. And that process, which stands for simply put, knowledge transfer from one side to another, will definitely is the implementation part of the whole thing. Of course, we need details if it's complicated, large, and style guides, etc.
Yes, something to add here, actually.
Okay.
As I mentioned, we're working in MetaMate just to provide good services in general to our clients and their users, but in general trying to make our processes better and better. Here I would like to mention that we now have those design critics. We're involved a lot of people from different teams. And that provides good opportunity for making a discussion. Okay, why we have that design decision? What is behind it? And developers are actually a really big part of that, and they'll be able to have their input there, just to provide some feedback before having that conversation and review with the client.
Sure, which will help in case there will be something harder to implement and might take a bit more time than the scope allows.
So it sounds like there are a lot of great things that you're doing together to work together. Do you see a straightforward division between design work and development work? Is it just so black and white? And maybe Rennie, I want to ask you, because Rennie was a developer before she became a designer. So I think that experience is really, really great. And maybe you can give us a little bit of your insights.
Sure. So, yeah, apparently there is a pretty straightforward separation of design and development. Designers provide mockups, developers write code. But for me, the things are really connected because you cannot have them separately. And design and development are just the two sides of the same coin because the process is the same, you're just using different tools. You kind of have a process and you have to envision how this process would work in advance. So in the end, you could kind of have an experience for the users which is good for them. And yeah, that's it.
Martin, you were a designer before you became a developer. Tell us about your experiences.
That's not the correct timeline. I used to be a whole web development department at some company, but
Okay.
yeah.
You wore all the hats.
Yeah, I basically got angry on myself. You know, why are you designing this? You cannot implement that. Yeah. Hardly. I had tough mornings. Yeah. So it sounds like it's black and white, but actually there is a 50 shades of gray between that. Super. I put that in. I think we discussed that offside. That yes, designers and developers, they are proficient in their particular area. They know the tendencies, they know all the good practices. So it's good to know in others' area, to have knowledge in others' area, just to plan ahead and probably making assumptions of what might be easier or harder to implement or design or time-consuming. So that golden middle, or actually gray middle, is for that good planning and actually again sparing time and probably asking the right questions at the right time.
Can I add something in addition to what Martin said? Because sometimes you get so focused on a certain area that you kind of miss the big picture. That's why I like to involve developers when I'm doing some designs. I like to ask them questions because they could provide that diversity of feedback that is important.
I want to add here from my experience that sometimes we have a lot of time constraints or budget constraints. So from urgency, I've never been a designer, but I've found out how to use Sketch, for example, and how to export my assets when I need them. Because when I ask one of the designers and he or she is working on another tree project, and if they tell me, okay, we can provide this tomorrow, but I don't have this time because the client wants the new builds like in an hour, and it's a matter of just simple skills to find out how to use this tool. Sometimes I have to create some quick mock-ups to present my idea instead of making a code, and maybe this is kind of relevant with being a developer who is deciding to make his own design. But I'm trying almost always to sync all of these things with our designers just to learn something new and to be sure that they're not to be so angry after that.
Yeah, exactly. I can confirm Victor's point that you should always consult your designers. They are the people who have the big picture, but if they are too busy, why shouldn't I try to do some small stuff? For example, if I get 40 assets with the wrong name, and that is times 4 because we have 4 different sizes, then if the designer is not able to help me rename them, then I'll just spend the next half an hour renaming, right? And if this happens for 2 times, I'll just find a tool that does it for me. So it's all about striving for the same goal and doing it together.
Our whole business model requires us to be flexible, and it's good that we are kind of working with people who are willing to do it.
Yeah, so this concept will come back again and again. We are under budget and timeline constraints, and those of you who work at product companies might not see some of those constraints. And in marketing teams, you're just working on a product, and you have, maybe a deadline, but those are a little flexible. With our clients, sometimes it's not that flexible. So I want to move on to our next question about, so we do have budget and timeline constraints for certain features. And if the design comes out and it's beyond your expectations and the developer's like, oh my gosh, it's going to take me double the time to execute this design. How do you often collaborate with each other to fix some of those issues? And are there any tools that you would use or processes that you would use to fix that?
Yeah, I can start with that. Actually, just to say something, it looks like Victor is not a designer, but he wish to be a designer. So.
Wanna be.
Yeah, wanna be. So back to the question, Based on my experience, and yeah, I absolutely agree with the guys here and those around me that we definitely need to be flexible. The main issue that I see, it's kind of not an issue actually. It's like based on the previous question as well. So as we like being flexible with a lot of like additional stuff and just trying to help each other, we can definitely like predict that, for instance, a specific design decision could be really tough for implementing. This is pretty much the same with the previous question. You mentioned about like renaming some stuff, but you'll be able easily just to like recrop some image if a designer is like really busy. It's not such a big deal, right? Definitely we need to keep in mind that this is something that we're not only designers. We need to think about the developers as well and the other colleagues that we have. Because after all, our goal, like we all agree with that, we have one goal and we need to work for that goal.
I would like to add, as you already know, we work with the Agile methodology, so we have daily meetings, and I would say we're using these meetings for providing our designs in front of our team, the dev team as well, and if there's something like concern or probably more work in this design for them, we can discuss them. We can fix this before showing this in front of the client. So this is another approach that we use to solve issues like this.
Yeah, exactly, and I can confirm that my approach personally is when I get designs that are too complicated and that are not estimated that way, I just talk with the designers team and see where that feature comes from. Why have we done it that way? And if this is something that we've decided, we can work together to think of some smarter way and easier way to implement. And if that feature comes from the client, then you have to talk with the client and you have to tell them, this is going to cost me that number of hours, and do you want me to spend that hours doing that?
Yeah, and as a client, I will say, you gave me the estimation before. Nobody said it will be complicated on the later stage. So yeah, it might go as super easy, and the client understands that we designed a major and very great design that is complicated to implement. But we have a situation where we need to figure out how to handle that because this is the requirement, or probably the client desired that. We didn't have in mind that the design will be so complicated during the estimation phase. So there could be a much effort from the developers. And again, it's in that particular case might not be a solution to have a better communication or collaboration between designers or developers, but strictly a plan ahead how to achieve that. And if it's a larger project, how we can break that down and probably think about more, of course, more reusable components or whatever, or not waiting to get another complicated screen entirely from scratch, which will cost us more time and more time.
And then sometimes, our clients are looking for more moments of delight within their apps. It's becoming very competitive out in the market to really get your product out there and have it shine and get users and so forth. Sometimes those requirements can be pretty tough. So how would our MentorMate team work together to overcome some of that? Is it just the two of you that are discussing those requirements, or what's your approach there?
Yeah, it's a good question here. Actually, yeah, we are trying to involve as many people as possible from the team, just to see their point of view as well. Because, like for instance, I think about the designs. Theo, for instance, will think about the dev work, and we have a lot other people in the team who will be responsible for different roles. So they need to be sure that all that stuff that are related to their job is putting together with our communication and our conversation. So yeah, not only between the dev and the designer, just as many people as possible.
Okay, thanks. I would add that we have a really important role here. We have business analysts who help the whole team to be understandable and with their stories. If there's some miscommunication, they're the persons who will solve this. They're responsible for every detail that is related, not only for the design, for the requirements from the client, and everything that is important one project to be successful.
Okay, I'll jump in here. Yeah, BA are doing a great job, and you already mentioned the agile, and it's what is being much more successful than the ordinary designer working on the mock-ups, back and forth with the client, getting what needs to be done, then being a designer, creating the Envision project, whatever tool we're using. Then the BA comes along and starts writing stories. Then the developers comes along and start, writing code. If the early stage happens between those three pivots, it will be essential because they will know all the valid requirements or client specifics that in larger project, again, it might be very, very helpful and beneficial, have a lot of value there. And instead of only asking the designer, which might work for a long term with the client, getting these requirements and specifics, then we won't bug only one person, which will be, again, on some other project or couple of projects. And having a BA that knows relatively the whole thing and the developer that will ease the way, to, again, follow down the information to the rest, which will be, the development team. They don't need to attend the first meetings, of course. They will just need to understand really fast, looking at the design, getting on the requirements and acceptance criteria, and it will be really straightforward. I know what I'm doing here. If I need to ask any questions, I'll just, to the lead developer, he should know that.
And that's why it's quite important to have well-written stories, if I may bring back to the agile, because devs can, they often are not included in the initial phase of the estimation, and having this documented could be essential for a project.
And I want to ask one last question before I give the microphone to the audience to ask the panel some questions. My last question is really about tools. So you see this evolution of tools for designers and developers to closer collaborate together. Maybe tell the audience of some of these really interesting tools that are out there, and what do you see the future of design and development collaboration, and how do these tools support that?
I can start with the second part of the question, thanks. So basically, something that's quite interesting and would have great development in near future are the design system, in my opinion, because they're a good example of how design and developer work collaborate together and can save you a lot of efforts. Because with when this technology comes more and more, developers and designers, they will no longer have to worry about small things like margins and paddings and pixels, and they would have more time to fix more interesting issues and problems.
Something that I envision in the future actually is being still flexible as possible, because that will be part of a lot of solutions. Talking about tools, in general, we know in the market we have a lot of stuff like Sketch, Figma, frameworks, and any kind of tools. Now they appear and disappear actually. But my assumption is that in the future we'll be able to have a combination of all those tools and providing a specific core of something that is more valuable for all of us, like people who provide service to the end users and to the clients. So I envision moving in that direction, having not so split products, but just something that one piece that will provide a lot of benefits for us.
But if we're talking about this moment right now, we currently use Envision as a way to provide valuable understanding of the whole picture to our devs, so they're able to find all these measurements, colors, even fonts in this platform. So this is some kind of time saving. for us, actually for them as well, because if they need something urgent, they will know how to find it in InVision, and this will save their time as well.
Yeah, I just want to add something to support Eddie's opinion and the InVision usage, because when I started here, we barely have developers. Like, we have few of them. Also, we didn't have any formal way of providing designs. It was like, oh, you have these mockups and these PNGs or JPEGs implemented. So we had to manage how to find the measurements and to color pick the colors just to be pixel perfect, or try to be. And we didn't have any fast way to understand, for example, what is this font and what is this gradient, for example, if we do have some gradients. So right now we have the InVision tool, which saves us a lot of time and maybe save us a lot of redundant questions. So, yeah.
Yep, and I can confirm that InVision has greatly changed my life personally.
Thank you, Envision, our sponsors.
Yeah, they are not paying me to say that. But at first, you never know how you're going to get your designs. They're either in Drive or in Dropbox, or they're going to be sent to you, or they're attached in the stories or whatsoever. And now you know that everything is in InVision, and every asset is there, and you can actually download it from there. I'm not sure if this feature is properly working right now, but it's great that everything is in the same place, and you have all the color picks and measurements and so on. You don't have to ask for each distance or, God forbid, measure it yourself, and everything is consistent now.
Okay, but something just to confirm that different places for like different assets and projects, that's not correct. You need to discuss with your designer. Okay, where is the right place to find out those? So kind of a collaboration.
Yeah, well, that's in history now. So.
All right, let's open up the floor to the audience. We're going to use one of these mics. Jake, can you help?
Catch.
No throwing, please.
Take both.
Raise your hand if you have a question.
Hi, I'm just curious because I didn't hear it in the discussion. What tools do you use?
Louder, please.
Okay, sure. What tools do you use to collect customer information, users' information from the applications and the platform that you use in order to improve those experiences? What approaches and tools, I guess, you use?
It depends actually on the project and the requirements of the client. For instance, if we are like redesigning a specific stuff, we are reaching out to specific like researching methods that you provide us a lot of information. For instance, competitive analysis that will help us to provide good research information. Also, like being in the shoes of a client, just we know that they have a lot of information, or they at least need to know how they will be able to like what I mean. They know a lot about their clients or customers, so they will be able to provide some information that will save us some time related to, or just give us a direction how we will be able to find out the issues that
but
they're
maybe
struggling.
they know that information. But do you actually use something to collect the actual information from the usage of the applications and the software that you create?
Yeah, so it greatly depends on the client needs. We have a couple of projects where this is very important to see which screens are most opened and which buttons are most up. Suppose this is what you're asking. Yeah. And we use a combination of Fabric and Google Firebase, at least on Android side. Not sure about, yeah, probably the same on iOS.
And also, I did use a few tools for alpha beta testing back in the time. Sorry, but I cannot name them right now. But mostly Google Firebase and Fabric.
And a lot of our clients actually will have us develop custom solutions to gather that information. One of our clients do a lot of A/B testing, so just getting the information kind of changed and measuring collaboration or measuring the numbers from the A/B testing is really important as well.
Hi guys. So just at first, my name is Lubo. I'm a UX designer. As far as I understand, the panel was about collaboration. Maybe just a quick suggestion on the comedy side, I would say. But if you want to collaborate together, mix together on a conversational panel, mix together, that would be great. Right now, you have the two sides together, so.
That's why we are with the same t-shirt. So.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So a couple of questions, I would say. First one. On a design side, do you guys have a done criteria for your design? And for the second one is, have you considered giving more design decisions to the developers? Because we constantly talk about, yes, we think about the development when we're doing the design, and developers always say that whenever they need to make a design decision, they go back to designers, but designers are busy, and we have this conversation all the time. So done criteria, and have you considered giving more design decisions to the developers, maybe small at first, but then getting bigger and bigger? Thanks.
Yeah, could you be more specific about your first question, actually?
Somebody said that they go back when they have questions and something is missing. Do you have a done criteria for a design? Whenever it's ready, when a designer stops owning a design. That's my question. Do you own it for like the next 3 months or 6 months? And if you guys work on hundreds of projects, as far as I understood, then how do you have this done criteria? How do you know when you're done and no more questions are coming and you're done with that, so you continue working on it and you don't have this span of constantly thinking about this design that you did 4 months ago?
Having the product owner or just somebody from the client side who is really involved in our process. And the idea is that we definitely want to have the clients blessed, just to be sure that we are aligned with their expectations and everything that they're expecting from us. And that's why we have those design reviews meetings where we walk through everything that we have designed so far, using also InVision just to provide some additional feedback after that if it's needed. And once we have that process done, we'll be able to make sure that this is complete and approved, which provide us an idea of, okay, we can hand this off to the dev team, for instance. And could you repeat again the second question?
Yes. Have you thought about giving more design decisions to the developers?
Yeah. After all, I would say that two hands think better than one. In general, the idea is that, as we mentioned, and actually that's part of the panel here, having more communication and collaboration between each other. So if there is a specific technology that a client is asking for, we need to be sure that we are aligned with some details that from our perspective are hidden, but the developers are aware of them. So we need to be sure that everything is really clear for us and the transparency is 100%. Talking about design decisions, I would say it's kind of a tricky and probably no, or at least in my opinion. But we definitely would love to hear their opinion. For instance, if there is a specific pattern that we are not aware of, just to be sure that we are not going to provide them some issues afterwards.
I want to answer the second question.
Please do.
Most of the time we don't receive any design decisions, or there are so few that, can you remember my example from before, here is the mockups on the JPEGs? Yeah. Sometimes it's the same, but I really, when I start to develop something, I really want to know the answer on the questions why this is like this. So if I don't have any design decisions, I'm going to ask about this, especially if it's something really suspicious. I prefer to ask, okay, why did you put this and these colors here and we don't use them across the app, just on these specific screens, or why we use this font only here? So basically, if I ask, I will receive the answer, and that makes my vision more clear. So I could save my time after that, as you said, going back and forth, asking what I should do here and here, can I change this and this? So it's more easy for me to take kind of educated decision to change something and to know that that's not going to frustrate them or to change somehow the overall vision.
But would you like power to make decisions? This is the question. Smaller decisions,
Okay,
of course. Would you like the power to make creative small decisions?
Yeah.
Will somebody give it to you? There you go.
Yeah, and I think that we're working somehow in this direction. As Mike said in the previous talk, the design part is not only at the beginning like the waterfall works. It should be part of almost each phase, or it should happen on a regular basis. But yeah, I'm trying to push this a little bit.